Hi, I'm Phil Barnes. I'm the CEO of Rotana, based in Abu Dhabi.
Phil, it's great to see you here in Rome at the WTTC Global
Right.
Summit. First of all, big news, you've joined the World Travel and Tourism Council.
We have indeed, Justin, and for all the right reasons, I think. As you well know, we have a lot of things underway. We are going through a repositioning. We have been very much of a regional brand based in Abu Dhabi because the majority of our inventory is throughout the Middle East, although it's heading into Africa, but it's expanding upon that and getting a presence. So a big part of that move is our joining GHA Discovery, which we'll be launching on December the 1st. And that again has repositioned us as more of a global brand. It's giving us the presence, it's giving us the recognition. So Rotana is moving up the scale, as it were, and getting more people's attention. But it's a journey, as you well know. So when Nada, our CCO, suggested that we join, it was like, okay, this is a good idea. And then it was like, okay, so you better get over there and go and talk to a few people. And as you know, in this business, it's always great to get to these shows because you run into half a dozen people that you know, and then you get introduced to a dozen you don't know, and so on and so on. It's all about that relationship building. So, but this is a major step forward for us.
And how significant do you think it is that WTTC here is in Rome?
Listen, I think that WTTC has to move around the world and make sure the presence is there. You know, I don't know whether you saw, but there was they announced that next year it's in Malta. Great. This is all part and parcel of what really world travel is about. You know, I think there was a mention this morning, and I may get this wrong, but I don't think so, that tourism is worth over $10 trillion to the global economy and growing. People's view of travel is growing significantly. Tourism rates are growing 3 to 5% annually. So it's not. It used to, when I started in the business, it was one of those things. It was a service industry. It was almost looked down on. You didn't have a career in it. Things are changing, and I think organizations like WTTC really help elevate that presence and that profile.
Yeah, and of course, talent and progression and leadership, absolutely instrumental in driving that growth.
It's almost like you can read my mind. We're just in the final throes, hopefully, of appointing a new VP of Talent and Culture. The title was previously VP of HR. Why did I change the title? Because, to your point, it is all about the development of talent and is all about the culture of the company. And those two things go hand in glove. If you don't have the right culture, you won't attract the right talent, and vice versa. So it is all about those things. And I think that's a major responsibility for us in Rotana, is to really be thinking about that next generation, that next level of really who our leaders are going to be.
And the Rotana brand, and it is truly unique.
Yeah.
And I suppose, in a sense, you're working so hard at the moment to kind of, as you said, move and develop that, and that is reflected in your culture, right?
It is, but I think, on one hand, while I'm talking about globalization and elevating the brand, I should be very clear. I'm also investing in the culture of the company and the fact that we are an Emirati company. We just conducted a training exercise at Saadiyat Island last week or the week before, and we must have had over 120 leaders in the room to go through a cultural education, if you like, about what Emirati culture is about, because it's about wealth, it's about the warmth and the welcome and taking care of people. And if you ever get the chance, and I think you have actually had the chance to sit down with our chairman and you talk to him, it's all about taking care of people. And I think for me, it was one of the most refreshing things about my first conversation with him. He didn't ask me about profitability or all the things you get normally asked, but he talked to me about quality. He talked to me about the team. He talked to me about how we took care of this. And that's that same thing coming to the forefront. So it's a very big focus for us. And I really will be driving that forward in the course of the next 12 to 18 months with a lot of different operational changes that Eddie, Chief Operating Officer, is leading with some of the key players in the corporate office.
Since we last caught up, you've been very busy. Why don't you just kind of give us a little bit of a rundown of kind of what you've been up to as a business?
Well, okay. I'm trying to remember when we last met. We last met in ATM, which was May. The biggest piece of the equation has been really moving forward to help the teams, driving the teams. Accountability, ownership, and success rates by providing them with the tools. I think just after I saw you, we had a leadership conference, which we did in LA, and the title of the conference was Dare to Change. And that was very important because you have to encourage people to make changes. And so we had every general manager there and all the corporate leaders there. And that was a prime example of something that I think was critically important. It's not about continuing to do things the way you've always done them. It's about looking at things differently. It's about trying things differently. And I have to say, Eddie and the operational team did a phenomenal job of showing the GMs completely new things that they hadn't seen. I'm not going to say it was rocket science or earth-shattering, but it was different and going about it in a different way. And I was lucky enough to be able to get Chris Cahill, who was the luxury CEO for Accor for many years and my boss for over 20 years. I was lucky to get him to come out and sit down and talk to the group about change and the leadership process and what is required in the leadership process for change. Because this is the world in which we live, and I think I look at that conference as being an investment on our part in the education and development of our GMs and our leadership group as a whole, so that they walked away, with something different in their minds. And you'll love this. One of our GMs I saw a few weeks later, and I said, "So, Ayman," I said, "what did you walk away from the conference with?" He said, "Well, I realized that I was allowed to have fun every day at work." And I said, "My God, what a concept," right? Because they had a lot of fun. But listen, we're in hospitality. As I always say, we're not trying to find a cure for cancer. We're trying to look after people. And you've got to have fun. You've got to enjoy it. Yeah?
And talking about change as well, a brand new global website.
The website launch was huge. But I'm so blessed, Justin. Dominic, who I mentioned to you, is our CIO, did a phenomenal job on the architecture behind the website and did a phenomenal job of really holding its hand all the way through the process, because it is a beast. We started that process in August of last year and we launched at the end of August this year. But there were others who played a huge part in that, like Reem, who was in our marketing department, who literally went hotel to hotel, helping them put their content together. It sounds easy, but it's not. You know full well, you've got to get some consistency of presentation. It's still work in progress, but phenomenal job. And she was supported by Thomas, who's on that team, and Mohammed on that team. And so what they came together with was phenomenal. At the end of the day, it's always about the people you have around you. And I'm blessed. I've got some fabulous people.
And looking forward, Phil, what's next?
Wow. Rotana is a brand that's 32, 33 years old. We need to go through a significant brand refresh. We are in the process right now of identifying the agency that we will work with. That's going to be at least a 6 to 8 month process. None of these things ever seem to take 3 days. Although I could do it in 3 days, but my chief commercial officer won't let me. So it's doing all the right things and going through that process. That's probably one of the biggest ones. I am also looking, though, at also some, and I can't give you too much detail, but I'm looking at doing some strategic alliances with some other brands, because the door is open now through the Discovery program to work more closely with brands who are in other parts of the world that we're not, and they're in a part of the world where we're not. So there's a natural marriage there, and I'm very blessed to have a very good friend who's the CEO of one of those brands. So we're having a meeting in November, and hopefully from that we'll come out with something pretty significant. It's all about growing. It's all about developing. It's all about managing the change process. I don't know whether any of the presentations today, but everybody's talking about AI. And I get it, right? And our new website will have an AI component to it that is going to be quite significant as we go forward. Terrific. But at the end of the day, it's also still very much about how you take care of the guest and how that guest feels, because AI won't smile at you. AI won't use your name. Well, it might. right? But it's not going to do it in a way that you're going to feel is authentic and genuine, because it's not programmed that way. A human being, dealing with a human being, is a very different criteria. So I think for us, it's going back to what I was saying about the Emirati culture, and it's also moving forward on relationships and how do we grow and how do we get to that next level. And I think that we have this wonderful advantage because we are in the hotel business. We are not in the business of hotels. We're not 2,000 hotels or 5,000 hotels. We're 80 right now. And, you know, if we get to 200 over the next 5 years, 6 years, we'll be doing extremely well. But I think what matters is that throughout that process and that journey, we retain that DNA, which is about that Emirati culture and that warmth and that welcome. So it's with all of those things in mind. So I wake up in the middle of the night with regularity thinking about 15 different things that I haven't done or that, you know, somebody else should be doing.
Phil, I get that sense from you in this conversation, the warmth, the hospitality. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
On your continued incredible progress with what is an amazing brand, Rotana. Thank you.
I think, Justin, I'm having fun, and every time I see you, I'm happy to see you because we always have some fun along the way. It's good to see you.